Hey guys, we're going to make South Texas carnitas today, and there's a bit of a spin. This is wild pork. So let's go ahead and prep it real quick. For starters, we got to remove this silver skin and get this trimmed off so it's nice and clean. Afterwards, we'll go ahead and season it with our favorite rub. This garlic and herb seasoning from Kingsford works great. The Cajun is also fantastic. Pat it, rub it in as much as you can, and let it sit for a little bit until it kind of dries up, as it is kind of moist. Next, we'll heat up the propane grill, get it turned on, get that gas going. And fun fact, I told my wife that I was making carnitas from scratch from the store-bought pork. She does not realize that this is wild pork. This is actually wild boar. Now, a lot of folks think that when it comes to wild pigs, they do not have good meat to offer in terms of the taste. And I'm here to bust that myth wide open. When it comes to wild pigs, whether they're females or males, as long as they are processed cleanly and you take out the glands, you can make some fabulous meals with some really good quality protein to feed the people that you love and care about. I personally love making wild pork carnitas because really slow cooking these kind of helps loosen up that tight muscle tissue, as they are a lot leaner than the typical hogs or pigs that you will find at a farm, or a lot of the meat you'll find up at the meat market or grocery store. So we'll even go ahead and do these. I got some spare ribs. We'll go ahead and season these up while we're at it and sear them over on the propane as well. A lot of the times, it's pretty popular to smoke these over some charcoal, some mesquite, oak, whatever it might be. But you can use something as simple as your propane grill and just giving them a nice sear. I'm going to take some of this, it's just some white vinegar with some barbecue sauce from the store. I kind of water it down, and I use it as like a basting liquid, just to kind of help keep that meat moist, as it does have the tendency to, kind of dry out and get a little crispy. But that's what we're going for. We want to crisp it up, give it a nice little sear on the outside. That way we can toss this in our little slow cooking pot and throw it in the oven and just let it simmer for a while longer. But baste it up, make sure that it is staying lubricated. Lubrication is key. That's the ultimate goal here, and just to get a nice little crisp on it. But I'll give it a tad bit longer here, and we will take these bad boys off and throw them into our pot. But first, we got to prep it. So let's go ahead and fill up with some water. My mother's been making some lemon pepper ribs like this for years. Just get you a big old thing of lemon pepper and dump the whole thing in there, and put some more of this Cajun style seasoning in there as well, as it is fabulous. We'll also drizzle in that last little bit of sauce, and look at these, beautiful. That's going to be good. Just drop it in there, plop it in, and we'll throw the lid on this and put it in the oven. You can change up the temperature, whatever your preference might be. I personally like to toss the lid on these guys and get it in the oven around 285, 300, somewhere in that ballpark. But first, let's also cut up some onions. We got to have some cebolla morado. Throw that in there. A couple of jalapeños. Just chop the stems off of them. You don't need to split the peppers open. And that'll just kind of help some of that heat work its way in. And a little bit of Coca-Cola. You got to put a little bit of Coca-Cola in your carnitas. That's the way to do it. But yeah, we'll just go ahead and throw it in the oven here. Let it sit for a little while. Take a break. Come back. And it should be falling off the bone in no time. Just a few hours in the oven really does some wonders on this meat. You can just see how those bones are starting to stick out. It's falling apart, and that is what we want. Toss it on a cutting board. Start mushing it up and pulling it apart with forks or whatever you've got, whether you got bear claws or heck, if it cools off enough, you can do it by hand. But no, this is still steaming. I don't want to burn my fingers. I'm going to try to just break it up into a little mound, and we'll get some tortillas going here pretty soon. And that way we can start making our carnita tacos. But this is going to be real fun to feed my wife. She does not know when I do this. Most of the time, or at least I like to think she doesn't. But she always enjoys this slow cooked pork. And she is typically not a big fan of wild game because she grew up eating store-bought meats. But thankfully, after many years of working these into her into her dinner plate, it's really changed up the game, and she's starting to appreciate these wild animals. But a lot of the times I have to disguise it as store-bought pork. So that's simply what we're going to do. We're going to tell her that this is from Walmart, and that'll just make her feel right at home. But you guys can see how tender this stuff is. It is not super fatty. That is one thing that is very different when it comes to wild pigs. And someone that I greatly admire that speaks a lot on this is Jesse Griffiths. He's based out of Austin, Texas. He owns Dai Due, which is a craft cuisine restaurant where they specialize in wild game meals. And I mean, this guy is just a master of his craft, and he always talks about cooking these wild pigs and making delicious meals out of them, whether they're large sows, which are big females, or even large boar hogs. But once you get it broken up to your liking, you get it shredded, you can go ahead and start prepping some tacos and just enjoying it for what it is. But I mean, it's just super tender, tasty pork. I love to let it sit in this liquid so that way most of the meat can stay moist, as if you shred up too much of it at once, it will dry out relatively quickly. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get it on some tacos here. Got to get some corn tortillas going, slap it on there, get some cilantro, onions, whatever your fancy is, and start chowing down. This stuff, you really can't go wrong. A little pico de gallo, just drizzle it on there like so, and you have some really, really tasty, juicy tacos. But I'll leave it at that, guys. Put whatever your favorite toppings are with this. You can even make some barbecue sandwiches out of it. Just add a little bit of extra barbecue sauce. But this stuff really does come out tasty. So don't bash on wild pork. It is a great tasting meat. I highly encourage folks to give it a try. And appreciate you guys watching. Take care.